Duelists, it is I, Hellgear, and it's Banlist talk time. Now, we know the Banlist is coming. It could probably come tomorrow. And if it does, you can feel free to check this video as my little prediction list. So, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and let's get started. Now, normally when I do my ban list thing, I would go into the cards in categories as such. Cards that should be banned, cards that should be limited, cards that should be semi-limited, and then cards that should be at full strength / could come back. But I'm going to do this at Howling at the Moon style. Simply because, well, it's how I feel right now when discussing the ban list, which could happen at any moment. So, if anything else, we got to start with the elephants in the room. And you know what that means, folks. We got to talk about the clash of the extra deck titans. First and foremost, Fusion Destiny. If you've been paying attention to the dueling world, you already know that this card is banned in Japan. Apparently, the DPE engine has been splashed into many things. From Phantom Knights, Sky Strikers, outside of the heroes themselves. I even seen a Japanese Dragon Maid build run this. It's become a big problem. And apparently, Japan got slapped on the butt with the belt and were told, yeah. Now, what does this mean for us in the TCG? Honestly, doesn't mean too much, and here's why. They're slating to make an ultimate rare version of this card. That's right, an ultimate rare version of this card in the OTS. So, why ban something that you're going to give a rarity bump to? Right? Right? And that goes into another card. Speaking of, why ban cards that you're giving a rarity bump to? Dragoon. Yep, my near mint copy that I pulled from one of my 10s. Let's be real. Phoenix Enforcer and Dragoon are going through this back and forth power struggle here. As which of these two extra deck monsters is going to come out of the windworks because the Anaconda wants some and has 2 pair of buns, hun. A lot of people are saying that in the TCG, Verte Anaconda is getting banned. They want to see this banned. Now, look at it from a perspective. Alright? You can ban Verte Anaconda, but keep in mind, we just got Predaplant support announced not too long ago. As well as Legendary Duelist Season 3 will be coming down the pipeline. And that's another opportunity to reprint Verte Anaconda in not maximum premium gold rare. And as far as Dragoon is concerned, we all know about that Starlight Chase from Brothers of Legend. Let me tell you something else, Mean Gene. This is Dark Magician support. And as I've been saying for quite some time in my dueling communities, we're not done with Dark Magician support because we still have to get the 2022 10, which completes the Millennium Stone, ladies and gentlemen. So, Dragoon getting banned is not happening. Especially because Konami's not done milking the teat of this cow yet. Now, as far as Fusion Destiny is concerned, they're not going to hit this in the winter. My guess is they'll probably hit this in the spring. You know, they'll take the winter to figure out how to adjust to DPE's engine, and then come springtime, hit this card. Now, if they wanted to be the straight up cakes, they could just limit Fusion Destiny to 1, but we'll see. They got to get that money somehow, right? And then, of course, there's this thing. If you ban this, what is it going to matter when it comes to Phoenix Enforcer? All this does is it just takes one card out of an extra deck. Most duelists are running 3 of these or 3 Red Eyes Fusions to go into Dragoon anyway. And if you decide to ban Verte, you're just telling someone, alright, fill in the spot in your extra deck. It's that simple. And until that 2022 10 comes out, don't expect Dragoon to go anywhere. Alrighty. Speaking of current news, I gotta talk about one of my biggest L's. Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. In January of this year, I bought 2 copies of this card. You probably can't see it, but there are actually 2 copies of this card. My thinking of this was, the Sofa cards are coming out, it's another Pendulum engine, and Konami's failure to try to replace Electromite with Heavy Metal Foes Amalgam was the dumbest thing to have ever been made. And my reasoning for this, and I made this in a comment in one of Triff's videos after that man was pissed about Electromite not coming off the ban list. Thank goodness Triff is no longer drop kicking chairs like he did that one ban list reaction where Electromite didn't come off. Is that they're going to want to, they being Konami, they're going to want to promote this new Pendulum engine, and the way to do that is to release the Link monster that works with Pendulum decks. No matter how much you slice it, and people still haven't proven me wrong about this yet, this not coming off the ban list is a main reason why Sofa card went nowhere. Even when they got their own Link 2 monster, Grand Sofa Chord Musicia, as I have called it, the replacement to Electromite. Now, in recent news, we got another monster known as Beyond the Pendulum. And Triff, man, that dude is happier than flies on shit when it comes to that card. But Beyond the Pendulum essentially cements Electromite's permanent stay on the ban list. Hey Triff, if you're watching, make a t-shirt with the lady Beyond the Pendulum taking a torch from the hand of Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. I'll buy that shit. I will. Real talk. I'll buy that. Make some money, man. Next up, let's talk about Drytron for a minute. Why do people still want Ava banned? Can someone please explain to me why Drytron has to take any further hits? We know the deck is a PETA. Alright? PETA stands for pain in the ass, and hummus doesn't make it any better. But real talk, okay? It did recently top. But it's not the biggest deck in the room right now. Even with Ava at 1, Ben 10 at 1, and a toss-up between Perfect and Ultimate Herald, this deck still isn't as threatening as it used to be when we got Mubeta Fafnir and Diviner coming out. It's an odd case when Drytron hits the mark. The results of these regional qualifiers and stuff have been the proof of it. So, real talk. Ava at 1 is fine. Let Ava stay at 1. Let Benton stay at 1. You know, the Herald, whether it be Perfect or Ultimate, you can ban one, they'll play with the other one. It doesn't really matter. It's just negates. You know, Drytron has done its time. Leave that deck alone. And now the card that pissed me off. So, Anti-Spell Fragrance, as you guys know, is a low-rent version of a limited card on the list, which people want banned, going by the name of Imperial Order. So many duelists in my community have whined about taking an L because they can't play their spell cards. Now, Simo made this argument too. What I'm about to say is that you can ban Imperial Order, but you still have to deal with Anti-Spell Fragrance. And Anti-Spell Fragrance is even more of a pain, because we got 3 copies of this in side decks. My question is this. Why are you complaining about Anti-Spell Fragrance / Imperial Order when you have the very card that outs the damn thing, but you don't want to play it? Duelists have been talking about this for a while, and in our current meta, if you've been looking at deck profiles, you notice they don't play these magenta colored cards known as traps because, quote, they're too slow, end quote. But you see, as Eminem said in his song, The Real Slim Shady, if you feel like I feel, I got the antidote. And it goes back to a box where you can get Anti-Spell Fragrance from called Duel Devastator. And my biggest problem to duelists about this, and the reason why I smack you in the foreheads for this, because you don't have the big forehead brain for it, is why don't you just play Typhoon? Now, to those of you who are saying it's too slow, let me just remind you of what Typhoon does. Typhoon hits the back row. It's like Mystical Space, but not Mystical Space. And if you have no back row, you can pitch this card from your hand. So let me get this straight. We have a trap that can remove back row, that can dodge Imperial Order and Anti-Spell Fragrance, that came in a product a lot of people open tons of, but nobody uses because they would rather eat that L-shaped steak cooked to their liking instead of switching out Twin Twisters or 2 of their 3 ofs. Remove 1 copy because it doesn't matter if you have 2 for consistency's sake, and then put in 2 Typhoons so you can out the very card that gives you all those L's? I mean, seriously, why has no one thought of that? I mean, it's not like you're going to play Royal Decree to out Imperial Order, right? Right? You're not going to play Royal Decree to out Imperial Order so you can use traps again in a duel, right? Right? We're not doing that 100 IQ play, right? I don't mean to sound like a dick when I say it like this, but come on. Let's be real about that. Now, we got to talk about Mr. DIS. Talk of the town is they want Alistair limited. And as much as I want to badmouth this call, and I do want to badmouth this call, I really can't badmouth this call. Because here's the thing. Look at the other pieces in DIS. Alright? Schism's not getting hit. Nadir's Servant's not getting hit. They would have hit these already. Especially since they are facilitators to each other, and the floodgate monster, El Shaddai Windy, that's what they need to hit. That's what I keep saying. Well, why don't you just ban that? You guys hate floodgates so much because this is a game where we build boards with extenders and special summon out the wazoo. Let's get rid of the card that keeps us from special summoning a second time. Well, if that's how you feel, why don't you think of that way with summon limit, Hellgear? I have no problems with summon limit, to be honest. But if you want to hit Dogmatica Invoke Shaddai, the DIS deck, sure. Slap Wendy on the ban list. But limiting this doesn't just hurt the DIS deck. It hurts any form of Invoke deck. You know, those one-card engines. We've seen the one-card engine get limited because prank kids. So, why not hit this? Honestly, I can agree with a 1 Alistair the Invoker, even though I'm working on a deck that needs 3. But that's a casual deck. So, this I actually agree with. You know, 1 Alistair isn't so bad, in my opinion. Now I gotta talk about the big nasty. Because this is meta relevant. Even more meta relevant than the DIS. And if there's any card I think that might get banned come this ban list, and it's going to be a sad day to see this one actually get banned, but I really think that it just might, it's Harpy's Featherstorm. Tri-Brigade is fighting Sword Soul for the top seat in the meta, if it isn't already in the top seat right now. I've seen more Tri-Brigade variant finishes than Sword Soul, but hey, you can always prove me wrong with the results. But between pure Tri-Brigade and, most importantly, Bird Up, this apparently is the out to being hit with Dark Ruler no more. And it's like, okay, you broke in my board. You shut off my board completely. And then the Bird Up Duelist plays this and shuts off and looks at your shut off. It's like, yeah, now both of our boards are blacked out. What you gonna do? My reasoning behind this being possibly banned is the other Bird Up piece. And that is Lyrilusk Bird Strike. If you don't know by now, Lyrilusk Bird Strike is Lyrilusk's in-archetype Dark Ruler no more. So when you have a Dark Ruler no more on your turn, and a Dark Ruler no more on your opponent's turn, odds are Featherstorm just might be leaving the meta for a while. It'll be sad to see it go because Harpies need this card actually as a form of disruption. But I can understand if it is given the boot. And now for the final card of this talk. And many of you have been talking about this card so much. Many of you want it back, and many of you have been told you've lost your damn mind for wanting this back. But I need to talk about this anyway, simply because we need to kill this little conversation. And real talk, for a card that just you want back so damn bad, where is it? It's not in this one, it's in the other one. It's Max C, you guys. Let's talk about Max C for a moment, okay? Everyone has been talking about Max C. We talk about this every band list. We go through the argument about it every band list. So many of you have today the discussion, oh, if Max C came back, it would fix the meta. We should have Max C back. Everything will be back to normal again. No, it won't. Max C is not a solution to the meta's no play problem and not having cards. That is not the solution. And most importantly, it is the wrong answer. It's the worst answer you can ever do. Where's my copy of Max C? Goodness frackin' sake. Oh well, I cannot find my Max C. I'm depression. 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 Look, Max C is fine permanently on Banlist vacation, and it's going to stay that way. We talk about draw engines for free all the time, but nobody wants to talk about how this is toxic even at one copy. And there have been many duelists that have said, well, Max C should be at 1. Let us have 1. Right? Now, here's a funny thing about the cockroaches. There's another cockroach. I don't even have a copy of that, but I know it. I believe it's called Retaliating C. You know, it's the 2-piece in B-Trooper decks where they'll let Retaliating C die and they'll add Contact C, right? Because Contact C meets the attack point requirement. Well, here's the thing. Say you have, let's just pretend that this is Contact C, or Retaliating C, folks. We'll pretend this is Retaliating C. This dies, you add your 1 Max C to your hand. Now it's just a matter of time before your opponent breathes. And once they breathe, you drop Max C and you're off to the races. Even at 1 copy of Max C, the 3 copies of Retaliating C make it so that you have 4 copies of Max C. And even at 1, Max C is a problem, because everybody will do exactly what Japan has done with DPE. They will play 4 cards in their deck, 3 Retaliating C to 1 Max C. That way they have 4 copies of Max C to play with, and it's going to be hell. So when someone in your community says Max C needs to be banned, and you would say, well, we could have 1 Max C, and they tell you there's a special place in hell for you when you die, this is why. And that's my ban list talk. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. But for now, I take my cards to the box because I'm done. Bye-bye, everybody.